So it all comes down to this. Super Bowl 55. The Kansas City Chiefs and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Should be a hell of a football game. I'm going to break it all down today and give you my final prediction for the outcome of this game. But before we get to that, we're going to get to some shits for today, because a lot of you brought some things to my doorstep the other day without verifying and checking your facts and your sources. And so I'm not only going to dig in their asses for bringing this shit up, I'm going to dig in your ass for bringing it to my doorstep too. Who else could it be but me, your man, Louie T. Welcome to the 137th installment of the Louie T Network podcast. I, of course, am your set man, Louie T. Thank you for joining me. So much to get to on today's show. We're going to really overanalyze Super Bowl 55, and there are so many great storylines here. Obviously, the one everyone's been talking about, and rightfully so, is Brady Mahomes, but I think there are a lot of things after you get past that first layer that are really ultimately going to determine the outcome of this football game. But those are the two main attractions. They're the guys that are going to move the needle for this Super Bowl. And it's the best Super Bowl matchup between quarterbacks we've ever seen. We haven't had a Super Bowl between two quarterbacks that have already previously won a Super Bowl, which is really hard to believe that we've done this 55 times and never before have two quarterbacks that previously won a Super Bowl squared off against one another. That's hard for me to fathom. It's hard for me to stomach. You're telling me never have we had an opportunity to watch a game in a Super Bowl in which this quarterback has led his team into a Super Bowl and won, and this guy has done the same. It's amazing, but here we are. A lot of firsts in this 55th edition of the granddaddy of them all, Super Bowl 55. We're going to talk about that game ad nauseum as we get into our Super Bowl 55 preview, and ultimately we'll wrap up the show with my prediction. But before we do that, I'm going to get to the shits, man. You guys, you're in trouble, okay? Some of you guys, let me just say that. I want to start, you know what? Let me drop this gem on your melon. Open your mind, let your conscience be free. You're now rolling with your man, Louie T-double-E. Let me open you up. Get you thinking a little bit. I'm going to get you thinking a little bit today, okay? Got a couple of topics that we're going to tackle in this Gem Droppin Session. We're going to start with the Andrew Luck situation. And we're going to go back in time to Wednesday. On Wednesday's show, the 136th installment of the Louie T Network podcast, where a couple of you brought this to my attention. I had no idea. All right. Have you heard about Andrew Luck coming back? And I'm like, nah, didn't hear that. I'll go chase that down, though, when this is over and see how legitimate it is. I said, I don't think he's coming back. I really don't think there's anything to this. Haven't heard from Andrew Luck since the day he retired. Literally, nobody's heard from Andrew Luck since the day he's retired. Like, he's kept as a low a profile as you can keep after having an Oreo commercial in which you're dancing in bell bottoms and a wig and a hat. Like, you can't have a low profile more discreetly than Andrew Luck has kept since walking away from the game. That said, I was adamant then when he retired that he would be back. And I told you guys probably like 2 or 3 months ago, I don't know how we even got on the subject matter of Andrew Luck, but I was like, I'm shocked that he hasn't come back, or we haven't even heard, you know, even the smallest slight bit of apprehension of him retiring and maybe getting the itch to come back. We haven't heard any of that. And then last episode, I had several of you, and look, before I get to my finger wagging and my slapping on the wrist of some of you for bringing me nonsense. I want you to continue bringing me everything. So it's almost like I'm talking out of two sides of my mouth, because on one hand, I'm like, hey, because I don't see everything. So I need you guys to bring me things and say, hey, have you seen this? But I also want you, if you're going to feed me bullshit, I need you to attach a disclaimer at the end. Hey, have you heard about Andrew Luck? I don't know if it's true or not, but have you heard about Andrew Luck? I need that disclaimer attached to it, because I want you guys to understand, I'm not here for the games. I'm just here for the games. Let me repeat that again. That may go over some of your heads, and that's okay. I'm not here for the games. I'm just here for the games. I don't want you bringing me information from a fifth-handed source, okay? I don't want to hear about Andrew Luck potentially coming back from your cousin's sister's husband's second nephew's uncle, who screenshotted messages that we can't confirm nor deny actually comes from Andrew Luck's wife, to tell me that he may want to come back. That's bullshit. First of all, let me start by saying, if these are actually real text messages, the guy that screenshotted them should be slapped and taken out back and shot. Why do people feel the need to clout chase? Why? If I'm texting you something in privacy, that's not for you to screenshot and plaster all over the internet. Now, how, if it's true, and I don't think there's any validity to this shit, I don't. But if there's any validity to this, and it's actually legitimate, how in the hell did this person get a copy of this anyway? Why do people do things like this? This is a private conversation. Unless that person gave you the authority to put it out there for the masses and mass consumption. And I find that very hard to believe, because Andrew Luck hasn't said a single word since he whisked off into retirement. Not a single peep from Andrew Luck. Nothing, nada, zilp, zitch, zilch, zip, whatever else you want to say. Nothing. And now all of a sudden I'm supposed to believe that he's given someone clearance to leak this? Absolutely not. Wife didn't give clearance on this, if it in fact is true, and I don't think it is. But why do people feel the need to clout chase? Oh, I know, and my wife's best friend knows Andrew Luck's wife. Who gives a shit? Who cares? Why do we feel the need to do this? That's not for you to share, even if it is legitimate. But that's another story for another day. I digress. Let me get off of my soapbox. Then for you guys to fall hook, line, and sinker for this shit, it is just appalling. When I saw this, I said, this is bullshit. I don't even need to waste time talking about this. For me. Now, Pat McAfee or anybody else, and I appreciate you guys sending me links to the Pat McAfee talking about it. Let Pat McAfee talk about it. He gets 1 million views every time he does a show. Let him waste time on that shit. I don't have time for that. That was garbage. Andrew Luck isn't coming back. I don't think he's coming back. Maybe he does. I was flat out wrong. Already offered up a 00 because of it. And I thought he was going to be back by now. Thought he was going to take a year, maybe 2 off. It feels like he's been gone for like 2 years. Has it only been 1 year? Feels like it's been 2. This is the second season, right? Yeah, it got to be, because they had Jacoby Brissett the first year, and then it was Phillip Rivers. So I thought we would have heard something by now. We got nothing. They've moved on. They know they have to move on because there is nothing here to see. That's the reason the next issue that we're going to get into is so big. Because they need a quarterback in Indy because they know Andrew Luck isn't walking through the door. And the fact that some of you got all giddy, did you hear about Andrew Luck? No, I didn't hear about Andrew Luck. What about him? He's thinking about coming back. How do you know? If that's what you're basing it off of, shame on you. Somebody's cousins, wife's, best friend's, nephew's, second removed cousin. Screenshotting text messages. Are you kidding me? Get the hell out of my face with that shit. Andrew Luck's not coming back. Anyway, what I really want to talk about, Carson Wentz is reportedly on the block. Potentially. Offers are intensifying for Carson Wentz, and it kind of ties in to what I was just talking about from the standpoint of, I think it's really only one team that's really heating shit up. Now, I think there are a lot of teams interested. I told you, what did I say? I said, if Wentz was on the market, and I didn't think he was, and I still don't think he's going to be traded yet, but I feel like he's got a better chance of being traded than Deshaun Watson at this point. That's how I feel. But I thought with all the moves that they've made this offseason, Nick Sirianni and Steichen that they brought in from the Chargers, who worked closely with Justin Herbert, and all of the signs pointed to, we want to fix Carson Wentz. Hell, they fired Doug Peterson because I think he wanted to go in a different direction, and the relationship between Peterson and Wentz was unsalvageable. And I thought that's why they fired him at the end of the day. There may have been some philosophical differences, but the biggest rift between Peterson and upper management was Peterson wanted to move on from Wentz, and they said no. And Peterson said, well, it's him or me. And they said, well, bye, get your shit and go. Much faster than slow. Now you're telling me that potentially Wentz could be gone. And, you know, I told you this when we were talking about Matthew Stafford and even Deshaun Watson. And I said, look, I don't think either of those guys are going to be traded in their respective conferences. If that team in particular has anything to say about where that player ends up, they'd like him to end up in the opposite conference. Generally, you don't want to trade a guy, especially if there's bad blood between the two. You don't want to trade that guy in your conference and have to see him twice a year. You know, potentially twice a year. With Stafford, but I told you the one thing that could change all of that is compensation. And you know, with this Carson Wentz situation, I don't think the Eagles are looking to move him. You know, if they really wanted to move him, they'd do like the Lions did and say, hey, we're open for offers for Carson Wentz. All right, phone lines are lit. Give me your best offer. That's not what they're doing. I don't think they really want to trade him. However, teams are being persistent, okay? And I think the number one team leading this chase in pursuit of Carson Wentz is none other than the Indianapolis Colts. And I told you guys, when we thought Wentz was going to be traded, I can't speak for you, when I thought Wentz was going to be traded, I thought that Indianapolis was the number one destination for him. I thought that was the team that was going to go all in for Carson Wentz because of the history with Frank Reich and what he's been able to do with Wentz. And Wentz's best football came under the tutelage of Frank Reich back in 2017 when Reich was the Eagles quarterbacks coach. So it just made too much sense for me, at least, as to where he would end up if, in fact, he was going to be traded. They don't have a young quarterback that they feel like they can win with right now. He would fit everything that they need in Indianapolis. And I think that's just the kind of market that he needs. He being Wentz. Small market, not a ton of spotlight on him. They're begging for someone to come in. It'd be one thing if he would have been the next guy up right after Peyton Manning, because that's the same issue he's running into in Philadelphia, where he's trying to overcome this shadow that he created and made it larger than life. Yeah, look, it's a big deal that Nicholas Foles won a Super Bowl. It's a big effing deal in Philadelphia. They never won a Super Bowl. Now they have. All right, but it's Nicholas Foles. All right, stop. But he made it into a bigger thing than it needed to be. And so now he just needs a fresh start. Indy would be the perfect place. But the Eagles are like, nah, we're good. But the Colts keep calling and saying, look, I know you don't want to trade him, but how about we give you this and this and this? Come on. You know you want to do it. And they're not the only ones, apparently. And so how long are the Eagles going to be able to ignore some really good offers if, in fact, these offers are too good to be true? Like, hard to really pass up. How long can the Eagles go before they say, all right, I didn't want to do this, but if you're going to give me 2 first-round picks for Carson Wentz in that contract, okay, you got yourself a deal. And I'm not saying that's what they're looking to do in Indianapolis. I think Chris Ballard is too smart to do something like that. Because had Wentz been available via trade, I don't think he was going to fetch 1 first-round pick. I think you could have gotten Wentz at the state that he was at the end of that season for a 2nd-round pick. Maybe even a 3rd, depending on what the market was for him. But, having seen what the Rams got for Stafford and how desperate some of these teams are, I'd like to think that now Wentz is going to at least net you a 1st-round pick, if not more. So I find this fascinating because we've talked about the quarterback position, and we've talked about how many teams are going to change quarterbacks this offseason and what the league is going to look like. And this feels like the NBA offseason right now. This feels like the NBA offseason of 2 years ago where LeBron, 2 or 3 years ago, where LeBron goes to L.A. and, Russell Westbrook goes from OKC to Houston and just everybody's going, this guy's going here and that guy's going there. And it's just crazy. You know what I mean? Chris Paul's going to OKC and all, just everybody was switching teams. Paul George is going over here to the Clippers and Kawhi is going to the Clippers, and it was just madness. This kind of feels like that. And I think I might have put 2 off seasons together. It's always crazy in the NBA anyway. Who gives a shit? Bottom line is, we haven't seen a off season like this in the NFL before, where we could see this many changes at the most premium position in the league. But that's where we sit right now with this Wentz situation. We could see another domino fall that I didn't anticipate falling after seeing the moves the Eagles made this offseason. And it may not ultimately come to fruition, and he may remain in Philadelphia. I'm going to bet on that. But I'd bet more so that he's traded than Deshaun Watson at this point. Just so you know where I stand. But I think it's Indy. It's Indianapolis who continues to be really persistent, because they, I feel like, think they can take Wentz and turn him into a superstar in this league. Frank Wright is probably pushing Chris Ballard, the GM in Indianapolis. Like, hey, I'm telling you, if you get this kid, I can turn him into the best stinking quarterback in the league. We'll see. We'll see what happens with that situation. They got Nick Sirianni from Indy. I'm telling you, Nick Sirianni, I'm pretty sure, talked to Frank Wright about Carson Wentz and asked him, hey, man, what do you think about this kid? Is this guy legit or what? And Frank Wright probably told him, look, man, he's got all the tools, man. This guy can do it. I seen it firsthand. So I think Sirianni really does want to work with Carson Wentz. I think he does. So we'll see what the hell happens. Anyway, I digress. Let's move on to what you've all been waiting for anyway. This is what you came here for today. That's the Super Bowl 55 extravaganza. And we're going to talk about Super Bowl 55 ad nauseum. I really want to dig into my keys to the game for both teams. Before we even get into any of that, I do want to get into the ancillary stuff, the background noise, if you will. Obviously, the backdrop of this game is Brady versus Mahomes. It's part 5. What is this? Part 4, actually? Or is it part 5? It's part 5. It's 2-2. Even series. And we all know, if you want to win a best of 7 series, when it's tied at 2-2, game 5 is pivotal. So this is game 5. This is a big one. These two may not see each other again in the remainder of their careers. So this could be for all the marbles. It could be for a winning record against the other, and for all intents and purposes, the bragging rights. Because you won the big one. You won the Super Bowl against the other guy. So this is a big one, man. Brady, Mahomes, part 5. Chapter 5, and this could be the last chapter. So that's the biggest backstory heading into this game. Obviously, the Buccaneers, first team to ever play a home Super Bowl game in their own stadium. To me, that is a distinct advantage. They don't have to travel. You know, the only team that has to travel, that has to worry about traveling, is Kansas City. Tampa Bay sleeping comfortably at home in their own beds. That's an advantage. The only thing that they won't have the advantage of are the damn cannons, which the NFL has said, okay, we got to draw the line somewhere. We won't allow Tampa Bay to sound the cannons every time they get inside the damn red zone. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. But that's an amazing feat onto itself. The fact that they're here, the first time in NFL history, a team has made it to the Super Bowl while their stadium is actually in home city, is actually hosting the game itself. Then you take it a step further and you are able to say that here's the situation with, to me, the two best teams in the league right now in terms of the way that they're playing. You know, Tampa had to go the long route. They had to go the wild card route. They had to win 3 games on the road. And they did it in 3 different ways. Because in wild card weekend against Washington, I thought the offense was excellent. The defense was not. I thought in the divisional round, I thought the defense was extraordinary. The offense was not. And then I thought in the championship game, we got a nice blending of both. Timely defense, timely offense led to a win. So, meanwhile, Kansas City, they were the number 1 seed in the AFC. We knew they were going to be here. We just didn't know what route they were going to take, but we knew they were going to get here. Were they going to be the 1 seed? Were they going to be the 2 seed? Was somebody going to beat them out for it? You know, when they lost to the Raiders earlier in the season, we didn't know. You know, remember, the Steelers were undefeated for the first 12 weeks of the season. So we had no idea if the Chiefs were even going to get the first round bye or not. But it didn't matter whether they had to go and, you know, play a game at home in wild card weekend, or if they had to, you know, go on the road in championship weekend, whatever the case. I felt like they were going to be here all along. They were the best that the AFC had to offer. We didn't always feel that way about Tampa. And I actually thought Green Bay was going to beat them. But after watching Aaron Rodgers and the Packers bitch up in the championship game, I think the best team in the NFC conference is representing this conference. So I think you got the 2 best teams in football right now. I sincerely feel that way. And when I look at this matchup, you know, the Buccaneers are going to wear their white uniforms, which generally they wear on the road. Generally in this league, home teams wear solid colors and the road team wears white. Now, you know, in certain instances where it's tradition, the home team, like in the case of the Dallas Cowboys, they always wear white at home. So the road team has to wear solid colors. But Tampa Bay is one of those teams that when they're home, they wear solid colors. And when they're on the road, they usually have to wear their whites. Well, they're wearing white because that's what they've had to wear the entire playoffs. And so they're going to keep the whites on, essentially, are the Bucs. They won at Washington with the whites, the road whites. They won at New Orleans with the road whites. They won at Green Bay with the road whites. So they're going to stick with the road whites. And I like that philosophy. I like that mentality. So we'll see if it benefits them here or not. But that's enough of the ancillary, behind the scenes, background stuff. Let's dive into this thing. And I do have a super chat, so I want to go ahead and knock this super chat out real quick. Silver V, my man Silver Villains, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Writes, this matchup is like John Wick versus Neo from The Matrix. Brady, the surgical assassin, versus Mahomes, the mysterious wizard. I don't know who has the advantage, Louie T. Well, I do. I do. So let's talk about that, shall we? I want to start with keys to the game, and I want to split it up into Kansas City and to Tampa Bay. So I want to start with the Super Bowl defending champion Kansas City Chiefs, because they're technically the road team in this game. And so I want to start with them. They're the champs. They're defending their crown. This is what they have to do to keep it. The first thing they have to do is protect Mahomes and the football. I feel like the Buccaneers have been very opportunistic this postseason. They only forced one turnover in Wild Card Weekend versus Washington, but they scored off of that turnover, a touchdown. They forced 4 turnovers versus the Saints and devoured them off of those turnovers. Just about all of their damn points in that 30-20 victory over New Orleans came off of turnovers. Maybe the opening possession of the game, they might have went down the field and got a touchdown, but outside of that, most of their points came off of turnovers by the Saints. They're very opportunistic in that game. And then in the Packers game, they got the Scotty Miller touchdown right before the half off of an Aaron Rodgers turnover. So they've been very opportunistic and taking advantage of turnovers. You cannot turn the ball over. But the Chiefs, that's not something they do very often, but this is not the game to have it done in. That said, protecting Mahomes to me is vital, because I don't see any other way Tampa Bay can affect this offense. If they can't get to Mahomes, their secondary on the back end isn't good enough to stop Mahomes from carving them up. So if you don't protect Mahomes, it could be problematic. We saw that play out last year in the Super Bowl for 3.5 quarters. The 49ers with Bosa and DeForest Buckner and what's the other guy's name? I can't think of the other defensive tackle's name, but we watched those guys dominate up front with the defensive line of the San Francisco 49ers. We saw them present a problem for Mahomes, made him uncomfortable, and they only scored 10 points through 3.5 quarters. That's the blueprint if you're Tampa Bay. I don't think you're capable of doing that, but that's the blueprint if you are the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And so if you're Kansas City, conversely, you got to protect Mahomes. If he's got time, he is definitely going to carve up this Buccaneers secondary. I can assure you of this. So no Eric Fisher should scare you if you're Kansas City, especially watching what the Buccaneers' 2 defensive ends did last week or 2 weeks ago against Green Bay's tackles, backup tackles, I may add. Billy Turner on one side and whoever was at the right tackle position. They got ate up. They might have had their starting right tackle. I want to say it's Wagner, but it didn't matter. You know, you got 2 sacks from JPP against Billy Turner on the left side, and there were 2 sacks on the other side from Shaq Barrett. And that's what you're going to need to do, constant pressure. if you're Tampa, but we'll get to that when we get to Tampa's side of things. Eric Fisher not playing at left tackle with the Achilles injury is problematic. We'll see how problematic it becomes, but you got to protect Mahomes and the football if you're the Chiefs. The only way you lose this game is if you turn it over. This is not the week you can turn it over. This isn't the Miami Dolphins where you can turn it over 3-4 times and still win going away comfortably, or be down 10 because you've turned it over 3 or 4 times and then in the blink of an eye you've scored 27 unanswered and you're up 27-10 after being down 10-0. Like, this isn't the week to do that. You're gonna have to take care of the ball, and you're gonna have to take care of Patrick Mahomes. The only way you lose this game is if Mahomes is on his back and the ball ends up in the Buccaneers' hands too often in this football game. Only run out of necessity and never stop attacking. That's the next key to the game if you are the Chiefs. For me, the Buccaneers are by far and away the best run defense in the league, and it's not even close. I mean, they smother the run. And the Chiefs aren't really we got to run the football, we got to establish the run type of team. They don't have to run it. It's not a necessity for them. But you don't want to be so unbalanced that it becomes predictable what you're going to do, to the fact and point where, like 2 weeks ago, I'm watching Shaq Barrett get off the snap, and he's damn near in the backfield before the tackle even gets out of his stance. Like, you don't want them to understand that they're not throwing it, so we can just pin our ears back and get after Mahomes. You got to keep some semblance of balance if they want to keep 2 deep safeties because they're terrified. And I would be too after I gave up 200 yards receiving in 1 quarter of football to one man. I'd be a little terrified as well, and maybe think about keeping 2 high safeties if I'm the Bucs. If they decide to do that, you have to run them out of it. But if they don't, and we know Todd Bowles has never been bashful about run blitzing or just blitzing in general in early down situations to get you in 3rd and long, you got to be able to say, we don't have to run it if they're not giving us the looks. We don't have to run the football. They stop the run. They're the best in the business for a reason. Don't bang your head up against a brick wall. Only run it out of necessity. If they're giving you the look, if they're begging you to run it, then run it. But if they're not, let your best players touch the football. The best guy to have the football in his hands is 15. And if he can get it to 10, if he can get it to 87, if he can get it to 14, if he can get it to any of those other playmakers, that's awesome. That's what you want. But you want to make sure that you don't force the issue. Like, we got to be balanced. To hell with balance against this Buccaneers defense. And never stop attacking. I watched Green Bay bitch up before the half, where they had a chance to go full throttle in attack. And they were terrified of Tom Brady. So much so that it backfired in their face. Rodgers throws an interception, and Brady still breaks their back with a touchdown before the half. They were better off punting the damn ball, being aggressive and punting and making Brady go and get it. Never, and I don't have to tell the Chiefs this. This isn't something I have to say to them, because this is what they do. They keep their foot on the gas pedal. They haven't always done that this season, however, for whatever reason. In this game, you can never let up. You got 47 seconds before half. The score's 16-10. You're up. See if you can't add a field goal on. Make it 19-10. You're down 13-10. You're down 17-13 with 42 seconds left from your own 25. You got 2 timeouts. Go be aggressive. Make the Buccaneers stop you. Never stop attacking. You're up big in this game. It's 24-6. Don't let your foot off the gas pedal. I've seen this Buccaneers team in the blink of an eye in a 7-minute span score 21 points. Don't ever take your foot off the gas pedal. Never stop attacking if you're Kansas City in this football game. Next key, red zone offense for the Chiefs has to be on point. I need the Buffalo red zone offense, not the Browns red zone offense. This Chiefs team, 2 of 5 versus Cleveland in the divisional round. They were 5 of 6 against the Bills in the championship game. That's the difference between scoring 22 or 23, which is what they scored against the Browns, and scoring 38, which is what they scored against the Bills. You're not going to be able to score 22 and beat the Buccaneers. I assure you of this. So the red zone offense needs to be on point. You get down there, cash in touchdowns. Mahomes and company, usually one of the best in the business at doing that. They weren't so great in the divisional round. They rebounded and were outstanding in Championship Sunday. They're going to need to do that again if they want to hoist the Lombardi for a second consecutive year. Pressure Brady. Force at least one turnover. I'm not telling you anything you don't already know. If you don't get to Brady, we've seen what he's been able to do in this postseason when you don't get to him. You got to pressure Brady. You got to get to him. You got to make him uncomfortable. I thought the Packers did a really good job of pressuring Brady, but not overdoing it to the point where there were wide open guys running through the secondary and Brady was going to be able to dismantle them. You can't be over aggressive. Yeah, like in the championship game against Buffalo, your defensive coordinator, Steve Spagnuolo, he was over aggressive. He smelt blood in the water, and I was disappointed in Brian Daboll because there was never any adjustment to the aggressiveness of Steve Spagnuolo. They blitzed and blitzed and blitzed and blitzed and blitzed the draws off of Josh Allen. And he didn't get any help from his offensive coordinator. 0. You need to get pressure on Brady, and if you can't do it with 4, you bring an extra guy or 2. And you got to be clever in how you do it. You've done a really good job of disguising it. L'Jarius Sneed and others have done a tremendous job. Tyrann Mathieu have done tremendous jobs of being extra defenders coming on the blitz and hitting home. You're going to have to do that, and the Packers did a tremendous job of disguising who and when and why they were coming, how and where. And they got pressure on Brady, and Brady threw it up for grabs. And they were able to pick him off. You get pressure on Brady, Brady will give you an opportunity. He isn't Mahomes. He isn't extending plays. You get to him, he's either going to take a seat on the ground, give him a pillow, he'll lay down for you, or he'll throw it up for grabs. That's how you last till you're 43 in this league. You don't take a bunch of big shots. Brady isn't interested at 43 years old at taking any shots. So you're going to have to pressure him, but you have to be careful in how you do it. You cannot be over aggressive like you were against the Bills, because Bruce Arians and Byron Leftwich are no dummies. You want to come with some aggressive pressure? Okay, take this damn screen to Chris Godwin. Take this tight end screen to Gronk for 27. Take this screen to Godwin or Antonio Brown for 32. That'll cool your ass off. Don't be over aggressive, but you got to get pressure on Brady. And by that pressure, and it might not be Brady. It might be one of the running backs. It might be one of the receivers. It doesn't matter how you do it. There needs to be at least one Buccaneers turnover in this football game. And lastly, limit the Bucs rushing attack. Make Brady beat you. In past years, I would have never uttered those words. Would have never uttered those words. Make Brady beat you. Are you crazy? However, Brady has been at his best this season when there's been a balanced attack. When the Buccaneers can do no wrong offensively, no matter what they call. When they turn around and hand it to Ronald Jones or Leonard Fournette, it's a 5-yard gain, and that sets up play action fake. And now Brady's driving it down the field to Chris Godwin on a deep crosser, or he's going up top to Mike Evans one-on-one because you dedicated an extra defender to the box to stop the run. They've been really good on the ground this postseason. Really good. They were great against Washington. They were good against New Orleans. And they were outstanding last week at times, or 2 weeks ago against Green Bay. Brady is at his best when everything's not on his shoulders. He's proven that if it is on his shoulders, he can take care of business. But at 43, that's not what they're looking to have him do. And they've had a really good balance in this postseason. Take away the run. Make them one-dimensional and make Tom Brady have to beat you. If you can do that, you will have a chance to get them in some long down and distance situations and maybe get to Brady and make him make a mistake. If you cannot limit their run game, it's going to be a long day for your defense. And this thing could turn into a shootout. It really could. If you want to stop it from turning into one, however, the best way to do that is to limit the production on the ground for the Buccaneers. You get to the Buccaneers' keys to the game as we flip sides. First key to the game is complete pass rush on Mahomes. And what do I mean by complete? It's a collective effort. Can't be just the edge guys. It can't just be JPP and Shaq Barrett. They're going to have to get interior pressure as well. Much like Brady, who really doesn't have a big problem with stepping up in the pocket and creating more time, Mahomes, not fazed by your edge pressure. He's not Aaron Rodgers. He's not going to run into Shaq Barrett and get sacked. Okay? He's going to get away. He's going to extend. He's going to find a guy wide open. If you just get edge pressure. He can avoid edge pressure. He'll run backwards. He'll run sideways. He'll step up. The problem is if he steps up and Ndamukong Suh or Vita Vea or Vernon or Golston is waiting on him. William Golston. That's when things get problematic for Patrick Mahomes. So it's got to be a group collective effort in terms of pass rush. It just can't be the edge guys like it was against Green Bay. Gonna really need the entire defensive line to step up. If you're going to have any chance, I don't think you've got a chance in hell of stopping this Chiefs offense. I don't. But if you do, it's going to be because your pass rush is dynamic. And it's not just going to be the edge guys. It's going to have to be those guys on the interior helping out as well. This next one, I think, is the biggest key to the game for the Buccaneers because I think their offense is going to give them a chance to win this football game. Block Chris Jones and Brady quickly identify where the pressure is coming from. Let me repeat that one again. It's a little long. Block Chris Jones and Brady quickly identify where the pressure is coming from. Brady's a vet. He's seen it all. He's done it all. But he looked a little confused against Green Bay 2 weeks ago. Didn't know where the pressure was coming from, and it forced him to make some ill-advised decisions and throws. Sped up his process a bit, made him uncomfortable. I'm not used to seeing Brady not knowing where the pressure is coming from. I thought the Chiefs did a tremendous job of keeping the Bills off balance offensively with pressure. Josh Allen, and he's a youngin'. He doesn't know any better. His breath It's just smelling like Similac. He's wet behind the ears. He doesn't know any better, man. He's just as green as it gets. So they took advantage of it, and they were coming with hot pressures off the slot from the left, and they were coming with safety pressure from the right, and they were coming with pressures up the middle, and Allen just didn't account for it. He didn't know where they were coming from. They didn't do a great job blocking it up to boot, and he was constantly under siege. Well, you're going to have to first block Chris Jones. He's a game wrecker, all right? And he's not just any old defensive tackle. He's the kind that wrecks shop. He's, to me, the second best interior defensive lineman in terms of a pass rusher in this league behind Aaron Donald. Chris Jones can single-handedly take over a football game. I've seen him do it. And I'm just going to tell you right now, with no Alex Kappa at guard and you starting Aaron Stinney for the third consecutive game, it could become problematic for you. Kappa went down in the Washington game. Stinney's come in, and he's actually done a bang-up job. I've actually been pretty impressed with him. But last or 2 weeks ago against Green Bay, Kenny Clark took his ass, put him in a dump truck, and walked him back into Tom Brady, who then grabbed a pillow and laid down. If you do not help Aaron Stinney in this game, you will have problems. This is not optional. If you do not help him, you have a problem. This is not the game to find out if Aaron Stinney can hold up one-on-one against 95. Just help him. Go into the game saying, hey, center, guard, you two have 95. Everybody else, you're one-on-one. Don't look for help. You got it. Take care of business. And I expect the rest of the offensive line, respectively, all good football players, Ali Marpet, your rookie, Tristan Wirfs, and Donovan Smith, to be able to hold up one-on-one in their individual matchups. But I'm taking my center, and I'm taking my guard, and we're double teaming. Everywhere he goes, unless he's going up against one of our tackles, if he's inside, which he's going to be 90% of the time, unless he's running a stunt, I'm double teaming him, period. So, gotta block Chris Jones. That's number one. Brady can't stand interior pressure. If you want to get to Brady and you want to disrupt him, the easiest way to do that is interior pressure. Chris Jones, one of the best in the business at applying interior pressure. So you got to take care of him first. But then after that, the Chiefs do a great job of disguising blitzes and coming from multiple different looks and different areas of the field. Okay. They do a really good job schematically of playing good zone coverage behind blitzes. Brady's going to have to identify who's coming, who's not, where's my hot or where's my quick outlet here. If they do in fact come, he's got to be able to identify pre-snap where the pressure is coming from. If he doesn't, and he didn't do it well against Green Bay, you're going to have problems. If he does, and he catches them in a blitz look, he's going to eat their ass alive. So I think that's a really big key to the game. Next key, establish the run early and win on third downs. To me, the Buccaneers have to establish the run. This isn't something that is optional, much like it is for the Chiefs. The Chiefs don't have to establish a damn thing on the ground. They don't have to, because Mahomes is capable of carrying them on his back with Hill and Kelsey and Watkins and Hardman and all the rest of those guys. He's perfectly capable of throwing it 42 times. And that's not what they want to do, but he can throw it 42 times for 427 and 5 touchdowns and no interceptions. He's perfectly fine doing that. Brady, on the other hand, he's not a spring chicken. This is not what he wants to do at 43 years old. That's not what Arians and Byron Leftwich want him doing at 43 years old. They want to remain balanced. You know, if they can help it, they'd like Brady to be 28 of 37 for 320, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, and Ronald Jones and Fournette combining for 27 carries for 170 yards, and that's how they remain balanced in this football game. You know, it could be 25 carries for 130 yards. They take that gladly. That's 5 a pop. They take that in a heartbeat. 25 for 130. Brady goes 28 of 37 for 306, 3 touchdowns. That's a winning formula. Establish the run early. You did it against Green Bay. Fournette with a tremendous touchdown run early in that ball game. You did it against Washington. You really ran it down their throats. The only game you didn't have as much success on the ground was New Orleans, but you still had success in that game on the ground to a certain degree. So I think you have to run the football. I don't think that's something that you can get away with not being able to do. And I think this Chiefs defense is susceptible to the ground game. The Browns ran it very effectively against them. They didn't run it, but Buffalo hasn't been looking to run it of late. But Josh Allen, and I know Brady's not a runner, but Josh Allen had 88 yards on the ground by himself. The Bills averaged over 7 yards a pop, most of it, again, Josh Allen's legs. And the Browns averaged over 5 yards a pop. You can run it on this Chiefs defense. So I think you need to remain balanced. And you got to win on third downs. If you can run it, if you can establish the run early in this game, you can establish the run on early down and distances, that's going to put you in some very advantageous second down situations where you can take shots down the field. And we know Bruce Arians loves his shots. You run it on first down for 7, and now it's 2nd and 3. That's the play action fake down. Now all of a sudden, Scotty Miller's streaking down the field one-on-one with the safety, and that's the matchup you want. That's the matchup you want because they got to respect the run. If it's 2nd and 7, that play action fake not really going to do as much damage. So you got to establish the run early, but more so, convert on third downs. It does a couple of things in particular, but it does a lot of things when you convert on third downs. First of all, it keeps the ball in the offense's hands, and that's what you want to do. You want to possess the football. You want to give yourself more opportunities to score points. And not just field goals. We know you need touchdowns in this game, not field goals. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But you keep possession of football. You shorten the game. If the ball's in your offense's hands, it's not in Mahomes and the Chiefs' offense's hands. So you want to keep it away from them. The way to do that, third down efficiency. The Buccaneers in their last 2 postseason games have been extraordinary on third down. 17 of 31 for the Buccaneers. They were not good. I won't say they weren't good. They weren't great against Washington. They were 6 of 14. It's still over 40%, but it's not where you want to be. You know, they were 6 of 14. You'll take that in a regular season game. But in the postseason, you like to be up or over 50%. Well, that's a 55% clip over the last 2 weeks. The Buccaneers have been exceptional. 9 of 14 against New Orleans and 8 of 17 against Green Bay. So they've been really good over the last couple of weeks on third downs, and they need to continue to do that. So the next key to the game, take advantage of all opportunities. If you want to win this game, it is a must that you take advantage of opportunities in this game. Every single one that comes your way. What are opportunities and what do they look like? I'll give you some examples. Can't have the drops in this game. Chris Godwin can't drop 4 passes in this game. Mike Evans can't have a deep ball go off of his fingertips in this game and get intercepted. And was that a great throw by Brady? No. Can't have a deep ball down the field, down the sidelines, not be caught by Mike Evans. Can't have that in this game. Can't have your rookie come in, make an exceptional, ridiculous catch on a third down and then drop one on the second down. Can't have the drops in this game if you're Tampa Bay. Catch the ball. Okay? That's an example of taking advantage of an opportunity. They give you an opportunity for a big play. Catch the ball. Give you another example of an opportunity. You get to Mahomes. There's pressure on the play. He's trying to throw it, and it ends up sailing on him. and your safety has a chance to make a play on the ball that can't find the ground. Got to come up with it. It might be a diving stab. You have a chance to take it away from Mahomes in that offense. You have to come up with it. If it takes a Herculean effort where you got to dive and lay out and you got to spin and turn so that the ball doesn't hit the ground, find a way to make it happen, because you may not get another chance against Mahomes for a turnover. Take advantage of all opportunities. If Harrison Butker wants to miss an extra point and then they have to go for 2 to combat that missed extra point, stop him on a 2-point conversion. That's an example of taking advantage of an opportunity. He missed an extra point. It created an opportunity where they're chasing points. Make them pay. Take advantage of all opportunities. Jadon Mickens gets an excellent return, and you're starting your possession at your own 47, damn near midfield. Take advantage of that opportunity. That's how you're going to beat them. Limit explosive plays and red zone offense. That's the final key of the game for the Buccaneers. Limit explosive plays and their red zone offense. So on the defensive side of the football, they have to limit explosive plays. We can't have the Tyreek Hill over the top 62-yard touchdown like you did in the regular season matchup. Can't have the big plays that set up easy scoring opportunities or quick strike touchdowns in this game. Make them earn everything they get. Mecole Hardman can't have a jet sweep for 50 down inside the 10 to the 8. Can't have it. They can't throw Tyreek Hill a shallow cross and he's able to make 2 defenders miss, get a couple of blocks, and now what was a 5-yard completion turns into a 55-yard gain down to the Buccaneers 6-yard line. That can't happen. Limit the explosive plays. Make them earn it. If they go 12 plays, 72 yards, okay, you got me. Tip your cap, move on. I like your linebackers against Travis Kelce. I think who's going to ultimately be the X factor is Sammy Watkins. I've already said that. Samuel Watkins and his health, and he's limited. He's been listed as questionable. He's going to play. If he's out there for the duration of this game, he's just like we saw in the Super Bowl last year. You try and take away Hill, you try to limit Kelce, and Samuel Watkins gets you for 114. I think that's what's ultimately going to happen in this game. The Bucs don't have enough good secondary members to limit Hill, Kelce, and Watkins, and Mecole Hardman. There's just not enough bodies in that secondary, and not many secondaries have enough bodies to do that in the first place, especially the Buccaneers secondary that I think is very porous. So you got to limit the explosive plays. If they get you on 3rd and 6 for 7, okay, fine. If they find Kelce sitting down over the ball on 3rd and 4 for a gain of 6, all right, it's going to happen. I'll take that. What I don't want to see is that you overreact to Kelce sitting over the ball, and right behind him is Tyreek Hill running a deep over route, and the linebackers suck up too far, and now he's open, and now it's just one-on-one with him and the safety, and he wins that foot race, and it's a touchdown. On 3rd and 8. Know what they're trying to do. Red zone offense. We talked about this ad nauseum 2 weeks ago. Buccaneers 4 of 11 coming into Championship Sunday. Gonna have to be better if they're gonna beat Green Bay. They were 1 of 5 against Washington. They were 3 of 6 against Tampa, or against New Orleans. They've gotta be better. Well, they were. They were 2 of 2 against Green Bay, and that was the difference. Green Bay struggled in the red zone. I think they were 2 of 4, 2 of 5, something like that. Tampa was 2 of 2. They didn't miss in the red zone. you're going to have to do that again. You're going to have to essentially be perfect in the red zone. You start settling for field goals. Ask Buffalo. Doesn't end well for you when you start settling for field goals. And going for it on fourth down and bypassing the points isn't a good move either, especially if you don't get it, okay? Score touchdowns, though, in the red zone. Score touchdowns. You settle for field goals, and you look up, and you should have 30 points, but instead you got 20 because you had to settle for some field goals. Or you got, 23 points instead of, 31. You're going to lose the football game. You're going to lose the football game. Score touchdowns, not field goals. So that takes me to my
money, yeah, money,
yeah, money, yeah. Let's get it. So I got a super chat. I want to go ahead and read this real quick. It's from my man Calvin Krim. Thank you for the super chat, Calvin Krim, who writes, other than QBs, what guys can you see winning MVP? Well, I could see receivers. Normally, MVP is going to come from one of two positions. 3, if you're a real running team, but neither of these teams are dynamic rush offenses. So it's either going to come from one of two positions. It's either going to be a wide receiver or a quarterback. And generally in the Super Bowl, that's what it always is. It's either a wide receiver or a quarterback because those are the guys that usually impact the game the most. Whether this guy has 10 catches for 152 yards and a touchdown, or this guy has, is 27 of 34 for 337, 3 touchdowns and no interceptions. Generally speaking, it's either the quarterback or a wide receiver. So it's low-hanging fruit, but it's just what it is. It is what it is. I think of some of the Super Bowls where, Brady won but didn't win MVP, and I think of David Givens. I think of Julian Edelman. I think Brady won it one year and he gave his card to Malcolm Butler when they won it in 2014, but Brady was still the MVP that year. At the end of the day, it's either going to be Mahomes or Brady at the quarterback position, as you mentioned. But if you're looking for other guys, it's either going to be Kelsey, Hill, or Watkins on the Chiefs side of things. On the Buccaneers side of things, it's 2 guys. It's either going to be, I don't think it's going to be Antonio Brown. He's questionable. He's going to play. I think he was a full participant the last couple of days in practice. Cameron Brate, same thing. I think he's starting to look like he's turning for the better and he's going to play. But it's either going to be Mike Evans or Chris Godwin if it's a non-quarterback for the Buccaneers. I don't think it's going to be any of their defensive players. It's not going to be their running backs. It's not going to be any of their tight ends. It's either Brady or one of the 2 receivers, Evans or Godwin. On Kansas City's side, they've got a little bit more weaponry. So it's either going to be Mahomes or one of 3 guys, Kelsey, Hill, or Samuel Watkins. So that would be my guess as to who would be some alternate options for MVP. So I said all of that to say this. I think this is going to be an ultra competitive game. For the most part, we don't get blowouts in the Super Bowl. I can't tell you the last time we got a true ass whooping in the Super Bowl. Now, we've had some snoozers. 2018, 13-3, Rams, Patriots, snooze fest. We've gotten some snoozers, but it was a competitive game down to the wire. That last field goal to put it out of reach came with like either less than a minute or, somewhere in there where it put the game out of reach essentially when Gostowski banged it home from like 50 some odd yards to make it a 2-score game. It was a close game. It was a snooze fest, but it was a competitive game. I don't think we've had a blowout since Broncos and Seahawks. I think it was the last true ass whooping we've had in the Super Bowl. That was back in 2013. 14 was the Malcolm Butler game. 15 was the Cam Newton Super Bowl with the fumble. That was a competitive game. 16 was the comeback for the ages with the Patriots and the Falcons. 17 was the Eagles and Patriots shootout for the ages. 18, as I just mentioned, was the snooze fest, but it was a competitive game. And 19 was the Super Bowl last year between the Chiefs and the 49ers. And that was a competitive football game. So we don't do blowouts in the Super Bowl is what I'm essentially getting at. And this is not going to be a blowout. We're going to continue with that theme. I think it's going to be a really good football game. It's going to be a shootout, I believe. And the problem with the shootout is the Chiefs have the fastest gun in the East or West. Like that's the thing. You take 5 paces and you turn around and they've already gotten off 2 shots. I liken it to when I go paintballing with my best friend. He's got the most expensive gun and he's got all this gear. He's got the little cap that makes the paintball pellets skid off the top of his head. And so I got the factory gun that's loud, that gets off 1 shot, and it tells everybody within a 50-mile radius where the hell I am. And he's got this quiet gun that I'm peeking around the corner. And he's already let off 5 shots, and I just peeked my head out. I get off 1 shot, and he's got off 7 already. I get my 1 loud pop. He's got, and he's barely hitting the trigger. That's the Chiefs on offense. You're getting off 1 shot, and they're getting off 4 or 5. And so while this Buccaneers offense isn't quite the factory gun, they're squeezing the trigger too. And they're getting off 3 shots. Mahomes and company still getting off 5 shots. And the only way to stop them from getting off 5 shots is to get to Mahomes and slow down that offense. And I just don't know if Tampa can do it for 4 quarters. They may do it for 1 quarter. They may do it for the first half. But at some point, you're not going to get to Mahomes. And we've seen it. Buffalo got out to a 9-0 lead. They blinked twice, and in the second quarter, it was 21-9. It doesn't take much, and it doesn't take long. All you've got to do is fall asleep for 1 second, for 1 quarter, a half a quarter. Ask the Houston Texans. They were up 24-0. In the second quarter, they were losing by halftime. It doesn't take much with this Chiefs offense. And that, to me, is why I can't see Tampa Bay outscoring them. But I do think this is going to be a highly competitive and entertaining football game. We're going to get our money's worth in this one. I've got the Chiefs 34. I've got the Bucs 30 in what should be a fantastic football game down to the wire. But I see the Chiefs pulling this thing out and winning this game 34. Much like their regular season matchup, I don't think Tampa Bay will ever have the football with a chance to win. I think they will cut the score to 34-30. They'll be down 34-23 with about 6 minutes left. Brady will take them on a drive to cut it to a 1-score game at 34-30. They could go for 2. Probably will go for 2 in that situation. So I'll say that it's got to be 24 in that situation, and they miss the extra point or something along those lines. Because if it's 23, they're going to go for 2 to cut it to 3. So it couldn't end up a 4-point game unless they kick the extra point and they miss. So that's what's going to happen. Their kicker, Ryan Suckup, is going to miss the extra point, and that's going to force them to need a touchdown to win. It's going to make Bruce Arians think about an onside kick, but there's 2 minutes and 21 seconds left, and they've still got 2 timeouts. So they're not thinking about kicking an onside kick, although he entertained that thought. He does kick it off deep. Mahomes then manufactures 2 first downs, and they're allowed to bleed the clock and win the game 34-30. So that's how we get there. All right. So if you're watching this, score and more, leave it in the comments section. Want to know what you think is going to transpire in Super Bowl 55. I think it's going to be a fantastic game, one that I cannot wait to watch. Bart Scott can't wait. I'm going to be rooting like hell for the Chiefs. I got a best friend that's a Bucs fan that is obnoxious. I mean, he is insufferable. Plus, I don't want to see Brady win it in his first year in the NFC. I didn't even want him here. You guys know that already. So I'm going to be rooting like hell for Mahomes and the Chiefs to go back-to-back. Plus, that's a hell of a feat to go back-to-back in this league. We don't see it very often. As a matter of fact, we haven't seen back-to-back Super Bowl winners since 2003 and 4 when the Patriots did it ages ago. We don't get back-to-back Super Bowl winners. So I'm looking forward to seeing the Chiefs try and get that done. You know, I said this already. If they do win, though, that being Tampa Bay, I'll be so elated for my guy Ree and Atlas and guys that have been around on this channel and this brand for years, that have suffered, that have watched this Buccaneers team live, breathes, sleeps, shits Buccaneers football. I mean, absolutely lives and dies on every single snap. And we've talked for years about the Bucs, and they've waited for this moment. I would be really happy for those guys. And there's almost a part of me that wants to see those guys happy more so than wanting to be able to shit in my friend's face and say, you guys lost. Go sit your ass down and try and do it again next year. It's almost a part of me that wants to see Ree and Atlas and those guys elated. There's almost a part of me that wants that more. But then there's the other part of me that's like, nah, I can't let that go down on my watch. And so we'll see what happens. We'll see what the hell happens. But I got the Chiefs 34-30. What do you guys have? Leave it in the comment section below. Can't wait to read your result for this game. With that said, I am going to glide to the side and allow you guys to get into your weekend. It is Friday. It's Friday, and I'm ready to swing. I'm ready to go ahead and get my Friday kicked off. So I'm going to go ahead and allow you guys to do that. Soak up all the Super Bowl content that will be coming your way over the next 36 hours, and then we'll get ready to kick it off on Sunday somewhere around 6:20. And may the best team win, and then we'll be back here at that game's conclusion for the overtime series to put a bow on what has been a phenomenal 2020-2021 NFL season. So, with that in mind, thank you guys for joining me, your man Louie T, here on the 137th installment of the Louie T Network podcast. If you haven't already done so, please hit the like button. All right, turn on that notification bell so you don't miss a thing. But you can't do that if you don't first subscribe. Please, please hit the subscribe button if you haven't done that already. So with that said, thank you guys for joining me, your man Louie T. I'll see you next time here on the Louie T Network podcast. Enjoy your weekend. I'll see you after Super Bowl 55.
Louie T Network.